Subscribe to James the Sheriff Dixon, you motherfuckers.
All right, this is Fun Times with the Sheriff, Season 3, Episode 3. I got my cousin Brent back on. Say hello.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
So tonight we're going to talk about both. I think I want to say I'm one of mine and your personal favorite actor, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, he's a real up-and-comer, I guess you could say. I mean, he's had a solid career so far, and he really seems like a real lovable guy. Like, everybody likes working with him. He seems like he can get kind of plugged into any formula or any group of folks and not have too hard of a time adapting. So
Yeah, like we were just talking about, like he can be like, with any kind of like actor, and they can just like bounce off of each other.
yeah, from Sam Jackson to Dwayne
The Rock
Johnson, and just any real just. He's good. He's good at what he does, and I don't know how Hollywood works specifically, but it just seems like he's a pretty good fit.
And he's got like
no matter what.
Yeah, he's got like the format down.
Yeah, yep. Like he's been in movies for years. Like there's old movies from like the late '90s, early thousands, like Love Actually, and he's done romantic comedies. He's done a whole lot of action films lately that a lot of people are very familiar with. And,
yep. We can start off with we talking about the early stuff. We can start off with like Green Lantern and whatnot, and like yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was that was one of those movies that came out early on in the comic book explosion that really kind of made people think, doesn't seem like these comic book movies are gonna go very far, because it's just honestly I didn't really enjoy that movie a whole lot. I thought it was kind of silly.
I don't think a lot of people really enjoyed that movie, to be honest, either.
Yeah, like I watched it recently, and I'm like within a month ago from now, just because my kids are really into, well, my son I should say is really into comic book movies and stuff, so I'm trying to show him other things.
Yeah.
Like I showed him the original Blade, I showed him Spawn, just to try and get him interested, or to see like, yeah, this is what comic book movies used to be. They used to come out like 5 or 6 years apart. They'd be completely different storylines. They didn't have anything to do with each other. So like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is kind of like a newer type of anomaly. But yeah, dude, no, Green Lantern was not. I did not enjoy that movie very much.
I'm gonna be like completely honest. I don't really much about it other than like the CGI and like him just messing with the ring. To be completely honest.
Yeah, and the whole thing about it is he's chosen to be Earth's, or to be he's chosen to be the protector of Earth and everything, and it just, I mean, even though, like we were just saying, he can be plugged into any movie, like his humor and his wit in that film are what make it watchable. But other than that, it's like the story sucked, the structure sucked, the graphics were bad. It wasn't a very good movie, unfortunately. I mean, I wouldn't say it was a bad movie. It just wasn't very good compared to the other things, especially compared to the other things that he's done more recently.
Yeah, another movie that came around that time, but we were just talking about it, is Waiting.
Yeah, see, there's a John into raunchy comedy, go instead of being a straight up action hero, it was just like, it was situational comedy. It was really funny, I thought, especially having worked in food service and having my ex-wife was a server and a waitress for a lot of the time that we were together, and a lot of the time that she was growing up or being younger, that was like her career path, was just basically being in the food service industry. So
yeah, and like I was saying before we started recording, like I just watched it for the first time this last summer, and I finally was getting all the references, because I was saying like my friends were like referencing these jokes throughout high school, so it's definitely like a high school type movie.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That's the caliber of humor in it. It's more it's just kind of toilet humor and real, like, silly shit that you don't really, the things that you would say with your buddies and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily expect to see on a big screen.
Yeah, like locker room jokes. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, and it's just a different brand of comedy. But again, he just fell into that role and
Stop.
made it his own. And It was pretty good. I thought it was funny, but I mean, I saw it when I was a teenager, so
Yeah. I saw it now as an adult and finally understanding the jokes. That's why I find it was good.
right.
Yeah. So we can move on to like I was saying too that he was in Amityville, which I know is the original one was like a classic. I want to say it was like the 70s was the original.
Yeah, yeah. With that, the original Amityville horror was one of those. It was just another supernatural thriller.
Yeah.
From back when all that stuff started kind of spouting off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, and then he did this one, when I know did not receive like kind of like Green Lantern, which we just talked about, kind of got the backlash off that too. These all came out around the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, his abilities are great, but I mean, you can't take a poorly conceived idea or something that was just someone who thought, hey, it'd be a good idea to remake this movie because it's been so long since it's come out. Just you can't throw a solid actor at a poorly executed script.
Written script. Yeah.
Yeah, and expect there to be something great coming from it. I mean, you can only do so much as one person.
Okay. Yeah. Now, speaking of non-horror scripts, we can talk about the newer ones that came out. Which one do you want to dip into first, Free Guy or Red Notice?
Free Guy was a little bit was before Red Notice, so I mean, it doesn't really matter which one we talk about first. They were both very interesting movies. It's kind of, you know what the funniest thing to me is as far as the rating systems go, you can only have one F-bomb per like PG-13, and it's like if that's all he's allowed, he pulls it in. He puts it in to a place where it's like, oh, they're not shoehorning this in. He actually, this is something I feel like his character would do.
Oh yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
he says, "Good fucking morning" to his goldfish. It's like, yeah, that seems on par for that character. Absolutely.
Yeah, I personally like. Oh, you can go.
Yeah, no, and just and Free Guy, his whole disposition basically being the upbeat character model of his that he seems to have sometimes is a very good. It works. His upbeat and bubbly nature kind of brings people in and makes you want to talk to him, or it feels like a guy that you could just walk up to on the street and just start a conversation with.
Yeah.
And he that's just kind of how he presents himself in these movies, or in that movie at least, and it's really a believable performance.
When I first saw it, I was thinking it was going to be, from the trailers, I was thinking it was going to be like another like Deadpool type of movie. But when I was watching it, it like completely flipped the script for me, because I didn't think it was going to turn into like a NPCs start getting like free will, or what you call it.
That was also like the whole B plot with the people that wrote the programming saying, "Oh, these people stole it from us," and we can't prove it, but it's like, here's this guy that just exists in this world, and basically is like, yeah, oh, I'm self-aware for some reason. He becomes self-aware when he sees the one of the creators.
Yeah.
And just kind of spirals from there. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah. And then what made me like this so much is I could actually see this happening as technology keeps on like growing today.
Right. And I mean, like, when you think about the game Grand Theft Auto 5 that's been out for what, 10 years now?
Yeah.
And people still play it, and they keep updating it and adding new vehicles and everything else, and it's like eventually they're going to beef up the artificial intelligence,
yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, and make it like this.
Or yeah, in the next release, maybe they'll be more interactive and like compiling, like, oh, this is the same store clerk that gets robbed every single time, like a million times a day. Eventually he'll be like, hey man, this isn't cool, why do you keep doing this? So
okay, we can we can transition to Red Notice now, which again plays off of Dwayne, I think, better than Gail Gadot.
Gal Gadot, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
you can go.
no, I just it's they're the chemistry between the Rock and
Ryan Reynolds.
oh my goodness, yeah, Ryan is, I'm sorry, I couldn't think of his name. The chemistry between the two of them is pretty funny because it's Ryan Reynolds' dry, sarcastic, witty humor versus Dwayne the Rock Johnson's just no
Charm.
bullshit approach. I'm the guy, and
Yeah.
I'm. Oh, this is how it's gonna go, and you need to stop trying to make things silly or whatever, and it just kind of it works in a weird way, something that you didn't think would work.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, I didn't think it would. Like, that's two actors you would not like typically see. Like, and you were saying like The Rock's like a big buff dude, and like Ryan Reynolds is like comedic actor.
He's like an approachable, like normal looking guy, like someone that you could walk up to on the street and feel like you could have a conversation with him just because he seems approachable and nice, you know. Whereas The Rock is like a mountain, and you might be intimidated on first sight, just to be like, wow, that guy's huge. I might ask him for the time, and he might slug me in the face. You know, it's just kind of making a snap judgment based on appearance, but he's
Like, yeah,
it's kind of how his acting is too. Like even in the Fast and the Furious franchise, he's kind of like a no nonsense cop figure.
yeah, the tough guy.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So we got the one last thing to talk about. The Deadpool movies, which is what everyone goes to for his like acting skills.
Right. One of the most interesting things I think about Ryan Reynolds as his entire career, all he's ever wanted was to play the version of Deadpool that he was able to finally bring to the big screen when they allowed him to portray it. I mean, he had an iteration in both the Blade franchise as Wade Wilson in the very first or the second Blade movie, and he was portrayed as Deadpool in X-Men. I want to say X-Men Origins Wolverine. I want to say it was.
Yeah, the first one.
Where, yeah, where he had his mouth was
it's sewed, yeah.
no mouth. Yeah, and the Wolverine character said, "Wow, they finally figured out a way to shut you up," which is funny because every iteration of every character that he plays, he's really a smarmy, smart-ass, talkative guy.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. That's just his personality.
Yep.
And they write to it. It's kind of a typecasting type thing. So.
And I want to say about the Deadpool movies is I do know they gave him like creative control over it too. Like once he got it, like you were just saying, because that's something he has been wanting to do for like a hot second.
Yeah, that's basically his whole point. I don't want to say the whole reason he became an actor was to portray that character, but like it became a very, very big and important thing to him that like I am going to fight for the proper way to make this, and they're going to let me make it the way I want to make it because he loved that character, or loves that character, I should say.
Well, which one would say is your favorite, the first one or the second one? I'm going to say it. I personally like the first one more.
Yeah, me too. I've just nothing against the second one. It's a great continuation of the storyline, but I definitely prefer the first one just because there was a whole completely crazy like what's going to happen wow factor, and then he just nailed the character front and back, side to side from the beginning to the end of that movie. It's like, wow, this dude straight up was created to play this character. There's no question in my mind. Like they could not have cast this better if they tried.
Plus, it's like the first time we're seeing him as that character.
Right. As that version of that character. Because like I said, like we were talking about a minute ago, there are other iterations of him, but they're not anywhere near as in his control as his Deadpool is. And it's just he swung for the fences and totally blew past him with his portrayal in both of those movies. And he's doing a great job, man. He did, they took their time giving him creative control. They tried to iterate him twice in two separate branches of the same Marvel universe.
Yep.
But, once they gave him creative control and allowed him to, do what he thought was right, it's good. It's kind of like the same way with Happy. Who's the guy who plays Happy Hogan?
Oh, and or trying to think of people who are like recast or whatever.
Oh, the guy who plays Happy in
Oh, he's the
in Iron
director. Yeah, he's the Iron Man director. John
John
Ferrero.
John John Favreau. Yeah,
Yes.
the way John Favreau was able to uh, do such a great job with the Mandalorian, or not the Mandalorian. I'm sorry. He was able to do such a great job with the. No, he did do the Mandalorian. I'm sorry. And the WandaVision series,
Yeah.
the Marvel direct, the help that he's given to the Marvel direction. It's like everyone was so worried that everything was going to fall apart with Disney getting involved, but it's
Especially
like
after Endgame ended. Yeah, nobody knew what was gonna go on after. Yeah.
right, but it's like this guy is he's there creating things that fans want to see because he himself is a fan, and Ryan Reynolds creates the things that the fans want to see of Deadpool because he himself is a great fan of Deadpool. So it's just you put someone who is a creative and talented enough
And
to
loves the
act,
work. And loves the work
and
especially.
yeah, loves what they do and has something to bring to the table. It's like it makes you wonder why they took so long to give him a shot, but once they finally do, it's like, oh, thank God, we're not just sitting here waiting to see what
Yeah.
they just belch out, to try and grab money because it's
Yeah.
attached to this franchise and people will go see whatever they have.
Well, plus hard work pays off too in the end. Like this third Deadpool is taking so long to come out, but it's coming out in like a year or so. But hard work does pay off.
Yeah, kind of like the series Rick and Morty. It's Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland both have other projects that they're invested in. Dan is a writer not only for television but for movies.
Yep.
Justin Roiland is certifiably insane, but he's also got an additional. He's got the show Solar Opposites.
Yeah.
These dudes, they work their asses off to try and give us things that they know that they would enjoy, so that they expect to have a following of people that will enjoy it as well. And it's like you said, it's hard work. It's not easy to continually craft universes with intertwining and intermingling facts and callbacks and just deep backstories and stuff, dude. This stuff doesn't just happen, it's got to all tie together. It can't just be like, oh, and 6 seasons in, by the way, you remember that one little kid that he walked by and kind of brushed off? Well, that's his big boss and nemesis now. And it's like, it's really not that easy, man. You gotta build this shit together.
Well, we're approaching that time already.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that went by quick.
Are there any last words you want to say?
Well, just that I think that Ryan Reynolds is a really good actor. He really hit his stride with the Deadpool thing. Like, he held out for a long time, and anyone who knows anything about him knows that that's something that he's wanted to do his whole career. It's great that he finally got a chance to do it. I honestly can't wait to see what else they're going to try and cast him in, because I've seen him, like I said, I've seen him in comedies, like Waiting. I've seen him in Love Actually, which was a chick flick, I guess you could say. Deadpool, fantastic. Green Lantern, not the greatest written movie, but he still made it interesting enough to watch it a couple of times. He's a very well-rounded actor. I'm a huge fan, honestly. Anything he's in, I'll at least try to watch once. Just because I've seen what he can do, and I can't wait to see what he does whenever they put the camera on him. He's kind of the same guy all around in most of his movies, but he changes it up just enough to keep it interesting every single time. So never get bored watching that guy on screen.
So, anything to promote before we end it?
No, I don't do anything except for work, man. So, unless you guys need bolts for engines,
All right.
call my company.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me, man. Always a good time.
Right, I just want to shout out an amazing channel, James the Sheriff Dixon. Oh, he's such a great guy, and he is super cool for coming to the show. I'm glad I got to meet him in person, and you should subscribe.